Thank you to my channel members and Ko-fi supporters that make these videos possible. Hello everyone. If you've had your eyes anywhere near social media recently, you may have heard the news from MagicCon Vegas that Universes Beyond 2025 will now be half of all sets, and they will be printed into all formats including standard. What this means is that in this coming year, we will have 6 sets, 3 Universes Beyond and 3 in-universe Magic. People are not enthused by this prospect. Like, really not enthused. Let me talk about my thoughts. It's important to keep in mind the fact that I do play with Universes Beyond cards in Modern, Legacy, Vintage Cube, and other such competitive zones. There, they are just game pieces to me. I'll play whatever is good to maximize my win rate because it's a competition. But the thing is I don't play Commander competitively at all. Or at least like most Commander players, I don't build my decks with maximizing win rate in mind. Chances are, neither do you. So please trust me when I say you do not have to play Universes Beyond cards if you don't want to. There are tens of thousands of Magic cards competing for the 100 slots in your deck. You will find a card to replace a UB version. Hell, I've been making deck techs that have been watched by tens of thousands of people, and yet I've not got one comment questioning why I don't have UB cards in my deck. It's easy to kind of get lost in the idea that your 99 needs to have the best cards or you'll get left behind, or that you'll get killer FOMO if a UB set prints a card that has an effect that would be perfect in your deck. In a world of deck techs and commander advice pushing these ideas, I feel like we neglect to talk about the importance of aesthetics of an EDH deck. It's a factor I've increasingly come to value when building. Anyway, let me rewind a second. Do I wish sometimes that I could crop rotate for Ominous Cemetery in my Kura Lands deck? Or that I could put Mount Doom into Judith? Yeah, but it comes up rarely. Keep in mind that Commander is a 99 card deck singleton format, which means it has supremely high variance. The pain points you feel when not having a card while deck building are disproportionately large when compared to how often it will actually come up in gameplay. Something comes to mind when I talk about this aesthetic point. The fact that I play the Necron as my unmodified precon of choice. I would never add a non-Warhammer card to that deck for the same reason I would never add a Universes Beyond card to a normal Commander deck. It simply doesn't match the aesthetic. Even if I don't play with the cards, I'll still see my opponents play them and it'll take me out of the game. Fair and valid criticism on the surface, but I've found in gameplay I tend to only really care about what my deck is doing, and I'll synthesize my opponent's cards into game pieces instead of what character they are. Besides, people have ultras frequently as well. I just categorize them in the same field and accept it's not my thing. My thing is on my side of the board. It works out. Thought processes may vary, but see if you can get past the eye roll phase of facing a UB card to see if you fall in this camp with me. Besides, we have rats piloting helicopters in this game already, so Magic has always been a little bit silly. Now those are my more neutral thoughts on Universes Beyond, regardless of what I'm about to say. I don't think Magic is dead because of this change. That doesn't mean I can't level some serious criticism about the soulless corporatization of a great game. Let me emphasize, if you like UB sets or whatever, that is 100% your right to do so, and no one should judge you, the player, for doing so. Trust me, I would be the world's happiest hypocrite for a Bloodborne or Dungeon Meshi Universes Beyond set. I feel like I often hear that argument. I hate UB, but if they made UB for X, Y, or Z media, I would like it. The thing is that one person's incredibly flavorful and fun crossover is another's neutral game pieces at best. At worst, it feels like an advertisement in your favorite game, reminding you that we live in this sort of capitalist hellscape. This is the part where the rats piloting helicopters argument crashes and burns, like a rat piloting a helicopter. When people say that UB ruins their immersion, it's not because Magic is like D&D, it's because the aesthetic of Magic is incredibly gorgeous. To dilute it with Fortnite or SpongeBob or Spider-Man feels like putting up a billboard in a public park. It really distracts from what you're trying to experience, which is Magic. Flawed story, characters, or representation, its aesthetic was always its own. Now, it's important not to get glum about this sort of stuff before we actually see it in practice. I was very adverse to Universes Beyond when it was first announced, but I have to admit, Lord of the Rings was aesthetically a very good execution. I don't like the ring tempts you, and there were some egregious power level outliers, but aesthetics? I think even staunch anti-Universes Beyond people agree that this is the peak of the mountain, so to speak. No crossover will top it, except Bloodborne. Personally, if you didn't tell already, I liked 40k, because it's kind of like a sister game. I saw it as a celebration of tabletop gaming, but I know some people have mixed emotions about the sci-fi aesthetics it invited into the game, and I feel like there is something to be said about bringing magic into non-fantasy settings that causes people to feel jarred. Like this year, Final Fantasy definitely feels less like a haymaker than Marvel or Spider-Man, which take place on Earth. That's about it for my editorialized thoughts. So I would like to touch on some more objectively negative things I have to say about the Universes Beyond implementation. Firstly, 6 sets a year is a lot of sets, which means less playtesting time, which in turn means higher chances for Okos and Nadus. These cards are banned in multiple formats, and it was due to the late stage changes they received. Now, I'm not saying that an extra set a year will guarantee this will happen, but it can't help. I hope Wizards doesn't end up having a major crunching problem either, something that seriously affects the rest of the games industry and other fields like animation. A majority of Commander players, as I stated, have the option to skip Universes Beyond that don't appeal to them. This means that you're getting around 2 or so less sets from last year if you decide that none of the UB is good for you. This can be a good thing, because it alleviates some product fatigue. The same can't be said for other formats and CEDH though. This bonus set a year is now going into standard, which means they are legal everywhere, which means people who need to worry about the competitive viability of their decks now actually have even more product fatigue to deal with, even though someone like me now has less. Another thing to note is the idea of vote with your wallet that could have been done with old UB is now dead in the water if you play formats that have a competitive edge to them. There is no format besides Cube or Casual Commander where you can avoid playing with Universes Beyond. Whether or not this will actually end up mattering, once again in more competitive spaces, aesthetics fall majorly by the wayside. A choice was still taken from players, as there is now no constructed format free of Universes Beyond cards. We will also likely see a massive spike in commanders per set, because games and stories, believe it or not, have characters. And while that maybe could be a good thing, it almost also certainly could be a bad thing as well. The last yet major point I have for this is that I hope and pray to every god that Wizards of the Coast updated their licensing for Universes Beyond contracts. For reference, Daybreak Games, the owners and maintainers of Magic the Gathering Online, just got Fallout cards into Magic the Gathering Online just recently, October 2024. 7 months after it was legal in Paper, Legacy, and Commander. The reason? Licensing issues. Even still, they couldn't use the cards from external properties in their Vintage Cube live event. Now, can you imagine if WotC only secured the rights to Arena in their contract, making every format on Magic Online different than its paper variant? This doesn't even mention the fact that an expired license can stifle reprints. I'm sure Wizards wouldn't have taken this bold step without these safeguards in place, but it is a legitimate concern. At the end of all this, I think my opinion is thusly. I don't like it, but I have the luxury of not having to care about it. Casual Commander is definitely stronger than it used to be, but with a wide array of options, you can have 200-300 correct answers to solve a deck that only requires 100. And as for the Fortnitification of standard and competitive formats, if I can tune out Assassin's Creed, I can probably tune out Miles Morales or Tifa Lockhart. And if I end up being wrong and I can't do that for future UB sets like the ones I did in the past, I can always build a cube, which I've made a video about here if you want to check out how to get started with that. When I asked my Discord about it, there were some outlier opinions, but generally, people were fine with maybe 1 or 2 UB sets a year, or maybe not even sets, but a couple Commander tie-ins a year felt fine. I like the take that UB feels best as a casual focused Commander product meant to bring people in who otherwise wouldn't have played Magic. I feel like there can be healthy implementations of Universes Beyond in Magic, but I don't think a 50-50 split in all formats is that. Link in the pinned comment down below to join the Discord, by the way. I know I have been neutral, leaning pessimistic on this new release schedule, but I do know many who are fine or even upbeat about the idea. I thank you for watching all the way through, and I hope I helped temper thoughts and expectations to a more reasonable level for both sides. I can't wait to read about your thoughts in the comments below, and also please let me know if you'd want more videos on Cube in the future. Until next time, bye! Also, please make the border look like a normal Magic card. I hate the gross shine on it. It makes it stand out so much. I would run a couple UB cards if the borders didn't look so out of place. You can also keep the cool triangle rarity sticker at the bottom, but its shine has to go, I swear to God. Also, I'm kind of upset that this pushed back some of the previously announced sets by a few months. Anyway, bye for real.